had that feeling, like there's something else going on just beneath the surface of everyday life, a hidden layer to reality?
Oh, absolutely. Like a secret world almost, just out of sight.
Exactly. And what if the really big truths, the most extraordinary secrets, were actually part of certain families, woven into their history?
And imagine if your own history, your own lineage, held some kind of key to unlocking all that. It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it?
It really is. It takes it from just a cool idea to something, well, potentially personal.
And that's kind of where we're going today. We're taking a deep dive into some really unique sources we've got here. It's a mix, really narrative bits, character notes, even some cryptic documents.
Yeah, and they all tell this astonishing story about a woman named Mia. She thinks her life is completely ordinary, right? But she gets pulled into this world that is just, well, it's stranger and frankly more dangerous than anything you'd read in fiction.
Right. Her story and her young daughter Lily's story gets tangled up with this family, the Blackwoods. They're presented as this enigmatic, powerful lineage.
But it's not about politics in the usual sense, is it? Or money, even. The sources make it clear. Their influence, their whole deal, is something else entirely.
Something much older, much deeper. So our mission today really is to sift through this material, pull out the key insights. We want to unpack how these centuries-old traditions clash with hidden genetic stuff, family power struggles.
It's a real collision course.
Yeah.
And it forces people like Mia to completely rethink who they are, what their duty is, even what reality is.
So, yeah, by the end of this, you should have some real aha moments, I think. It's a shortcut, maybe, to understanding the surprising facts behind a world you probably didn't know existed.
Okay, let's get right into it. So the story kicks off with Mia arriving at Blackwood House. It's huge, imposing.
Grand is the word the sources use. Ancient oaks, big estate.
Right. And on the surface, she's there for this marriage of convenience with Callum Blackwood. He's this political guy aiming for the Senate.
Seems straightforward enough initially. Strategic marriage, political alliance. But the feel of the place. The sources describe this underlying intensity. Discreet staff, sure, but it feels like everyone's watching.
Yeah, managed. And Callum himself. He tries to project calm, the politician's composure.
But there's this tiny detail, almost immediately. He breathes out, runs a hand through his hair. It's described as a rare gesture of uncertainty.
That's it. It's subtle, but it tells you right away he's not just some detached player in this. There's something more going on with him, some hidden weight.
A hint of burden, maybe. It undercuts that perfect facade from the get-go.
And things unravel fast. Almost as soon as Mia's inside, Callum's grandmother, Eleanor Blackwood, makes her entrance.
Oh, yeah, the matriarch. Descending silently from a gallery, the sources say. Almost spectral.
And her first question, directed at Callum, but clearly about Mia, is just chilling. Is she the one?
No, hello, no welcome, just straight to that. It immediately signals this isn't about a wedding alliance, it's about Mia, specifically.
And Callum doesn't even blink. He just leans in, lowers his voice like it's a secret, and says, "What was it?"
The blood tests are conclusive. She carries the markers we need. And the child, even stronger indicators. The recessive gene is closer to the surface.
Boom. Right there. The whole marriage thing just evaporates. It's about blood tests, genetic markers.
Exactly. It shifts from social maneuvering to something almost clinical. Scientific even. They've been searching for someone with her specific genetic profile, and Lily's profile is even more significant.
It really pulls back the curtain, doesn't it? Shows you the real motivation isn't politics, it's something biological, maybe even desperate.
And the grandmother, Eleonora, her reaction is pure satisfaction, but it's cold. A smile that doesn't reach her eyes, a laugh like brittle leaves.
So creepy. And her assessment of Mia.
Also unnerving. She's stronger than we anticipated. She won't be easily controlled. Good. And then the kicker. Weak blood is what's killing this family. We need her strength.
Okay, hold on. Weak blood. What does that even mean? And what kind of strength are they looking for? It's not political muscle, clearly.
Right. Is it physical strength?
Mental.
Mental. Or something. Innate. Genetic. That phrase, weak blood, suggests a deep problem in their lineage, something they're frantically trying to fix, a vulnerability they need Mia and Lily to cure.
It implies decline, maybe even an existential crisis for the family. They're not just choosing Mia, they need her.
Absolutely. And it's not just the adults sensing this weird vibe. Little Lily, Mia's daughter, she's only 7. She picks up on it too. Maybe even before Mia does.
How so?
Her kid's perspective cuts right through the pretense. She calls Mrs. Blackwood scary. And then she says, and this is just brutal honesty from a child, she looks at me like I'm a science experiment.
Wow. a 7-year-old using that phrase. That tells you something profound about the atmosphere, about how Eleanor is looking at them.
It really does. That childish intuition just nails the underlying truth.
And then there's that other incident Lily mentions
Right.
in the garden.
Yeah, Eleanor calls her over, wants to assess my features, Lily says. And Lily's takeaway: I had good bone structure, but my eyes were the wrong color.
Which sounds almost funny, but when you connect it back to Callum talking about markers.
Exactly. It clicks. They're literally checking her physical traits against some hidden checklist. Eye color matters, bone structure.
Yeah.
It's not about fitting in socially, it's about her genetic blueprint.
So Mia and Lily aren't guests, or even just part of a political deal. They're specimens under observation.
Pretty much. Which sets a deeply ominous tone for what comes next. They're being evaluated for something far beyond Mia's understanding at this point.
Okay, so the scene is set. Mia and Lily are at Blackwood House, feeling watched, scrutinized for reasons they don't grasp. Then the story shifts focus, big time.
Right, we move to this major public event, the Silver Peak Conservation Society Gala.
Which sounds fancy, but it's really the unofficial kickoff for Callum's Senate campaign. So it's Mia's big debut is his fiancée.
High stakes, lots of eyes on her, and even surrounded by people, schmoozing political smiles, Mia still has that feeling.
What feeling?
That she's being measured against some standard she couldn't begin to comprehend. It doesn't go away. The scrutiny follows her.
That constant sense of being evaluated. Okay. But then something concrete happens at the gala, right? It moves beyond just a feeling.
Yes. This is where the hints turn into a direct warning. Mia gets approached by this mysterious woman. Quietly, urgently.
What does she say?
She tells Mia, flat out, the blood tests at the community center weren't random, which Mia probably just thought was routine.
Yeah, maybe a health drive or something.
But no, this woman says, the Blackwoods have been searching for someone with your genetic markers for generations.
Generations. Okay, that changes everything.
Yeah.
This isn't some recent scheme. It's an ancient quest. And Mia's the target.
Exactly. It elevates the whole thing to a different level. And then the woman adds this urgent deadline.
The full moon.
The full moon comes in 2 days. After that, maybe too late.
Too late for what? That's terrifying. What happens after the full moon? An irreversible change. A ritual.
We don't know yet, but the link to the lunar cycle is undeniable now. It connects Mia's fate to something ancient, cyclical, maybe even supernatural. And why 2 days? What's the window closing on?
So many questions. And the woman gives Mia another clue, doesn't she? About Callum's father.
Right. She tells Mia to ask herself why Lawrence Blackwood, Callum's father, would suddenly accept a commoner into the family he guards so fiercely.
Implying Lawrence is usually super protective of the family line. Very traditional.
Extremely. So Mia's acceptance breaks a major rule for him, which means Mia must have something incredibly valuable, something that overrides generations of Blackwood pride and prejudice.
Something they desperately need. It hints at this deep internal family conflict, these rigid traditions being bent out of sheer necessity.
Precisely. And just as Mia's trying to process all this, the genetic search, the full moon deadline, the family politics, she has this strange encounter with Callum.
After the gala.
Yeah, after her big public appearance. He does something unexpectedly gentle, brushes his knuckles against her cheek.
A moment of tenderness.
The sources say it was so unexpected it stilled her questions. A real human connection, brief as it was.
But then
he immediately follows it with this cryptic, chilling advice. Lock your door tonight, Mia.
Whoa.
Okay.
Tenderness, then a warning. What does that tell us about Callum?
It screams internal conflict, doesn't it? He's obviously part of the plan. He brought Mia there, but he also seems genuinely concerned for her safety, at least in that moment.
So he's not just a pawn or a villain. He's wrestling with his role in all this. Caught between family duty, whatever that entails, and maybe developing feelings, or just basic decency.
It's complex. That moment really highlights his duality. He's involved, yet he warns her. It makes him a much more interesting, unpredictable character. The gentle touch and the stark warning together, it's incredibly compelling.
Okay, so the clock is ticking towards this full moon. Mia's full of dread, especially for Lily now, right? She feels she has to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, she can't just wait. She needs answers. So she goes exploring, basically snooping around the estate woods.
And she finds something.
She stumbles upon this hidden clearing, described as a ceremonial space. Torches, an altar-like stone in the center, clearly a place for rituals.
Oh boy. And she overhears something.
Yes. Crucial conversation. Lawrence Blackwood, Callum's father, is talking. Authoritative, no room for argument. He says the ritual has to be done under the full moon.
There it is again, the moon connection.
And he gives the reason. The carrier's blood potency peaks with the lunar cycle.
The carrier. That's Mia, presumably. or Lily,
Oh.
and blood potency. This sounds less like medicine and more like magic or something else entirely.
It confirms the link to something ancient, maybe supernatural, tied to natural cycles. It's not just tradition, it's a functional requirement for whatever they're planning.
And the most shocking part is about Lily, isn't it?
Yes. Lawrence states, very coldly, clinically, the child shows even stronger markers. The potential exceeds anything in our records.
Oh my God. So Lily, the 7-year-old, is actually the primary target. Her potential is off the charts.
That's what it sounds like. She's the key. And then Lawrence says something about not touching the child during the ritual, but he reaches for Lily.
And Callum reacts.
Viscerally, he lets out this growl. The sources say it's more animal than human in its fury. He physically stops Lawrence from touching Lily.
Wow. A growl. That's significant. It's purely protective, instinctive, completely defying his father.
A massive moment for Callum, shows where his loyalties are truly starting to shift, especially when it comes to Lily. Primal protection over pack hierarchy.
And Mia hears them use the word pack.
Yeah, which strikes her as odd. But then another family member, Victoria, clarifies things, saying their bloodline weakens and the carrier's genetic material could reverse centuries of decline.
So that's the weak blood Eleanor mentioned. They're literally fading genetically. Mia and Lily aren't just targets. They're seen as potential saviors.
Genetic saviors, yes. It explains the desperation, the generations-long search, the willingness to break their own rules. The stakes are existential for the Blackwood pack.
So Mia overhears all this, but then she gets caught, right?
She does, discovered hiding. And she's confronted by Eleonora.
How does Eleanor handle it? Fury.
Surprisingly calm, actually. She tries to downplay the ritual, a simple blood drawing, like a medical procedure, just trying to smooth it over.
A pretty thin cover story at the
It's
Blue Beard.
very thin. But then Eleanor does something even weirder. She reads Mia's palm.
Palmistry, seriously.
Yep. Traces her heart line, her moon line, starts talking about intuition, psychic ability, and ominously, the potential for the full transformation.
Transformation into what? This is getting stranger and stranger.
And then Eleonora hits her with the big one. She asks, like she already knows the answer, you were born during a full moon, weren't you?
Whoa. How would you know that?
Exactly. And then she follows up with, you belong here not as a blood source, but as one of us.
One of us. Not just a carrier, but part of the family, part of the pack. That completely changes Mia's understanding of herself.
It suggests her connection isn't just genetic potential they want to exploit, it's inherent. She's like them. Her birth moon was a sign.
And Mia's been noticing things herself, right? Physical changes.
Yes. This is crucial. It's not just talk. Since arriving, her senses are sharper, she's having weird dreams, sudden bursts of strength or speed.
And the spoon?
Right. She accidentally snapped a metal spoon stirring coffee. Just snapped it.
Okay, so that's not normal. That's tangible proof. Something is physically changing within her. It's not just psychological stress.
That's visceral evidence. Her body's reacting, changing, becoming something else. It makes Eleanor's words land with terrifying weight.
So with all these pieces falling into place, the ritual, the blood potency, the transformation, Mia's own changes. What's the final reveal? What are the Blackwoods?
Callum finally drops the unvarnished truth. He tells Mia bluntly, almost tiredly, we're shifting, Mia, all of us, into our wolf form.
Wolf forms,
Yep.
so werewolves, actual lycanthropy.
Actual werewolves. He even calls the shift celebratory, communal, especially for young ones first experiencing it. It's real. It's their nature.
Oh my God. So the genetic markers, the bloodline,
Yeah.
it's all about lycanthropy. And Mia and Lily.
It's in their blood, too. Callum explains the dormant genes are awaking accelerated by proximity to the pack. That's why they needed the contract, the marriage.
Not to harvest their blood.
But to reunite you with your heritage. To awaken their own dormant werewolf nature. The whole thing was a forced, deceptive homecoming.
Unbelievable. So the marriage contract wasn't political. It was genetic reclamation.
Pretty much. And then Eleonora adds another layer. She tells Mia she has the potential to be a Luna Prime.
Luna Prime, what's that?
A female alpha capable of leading in her own right. It suggests not just belonging, but potential power. Leadership? A connection to the moon, maybe? The name itself is evocative.
So Mia goes from ordinary woman to potential werewolf queen, basically,
Yeah.
in the space of a few days.
It's an insane amount to process. Imagine finding out werewolves are real and you're one of them and your daughter is too, and you might be destined to lead them.
It completely shatters reality. It redefines everything, biology, family, destiny.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to cope with that?
Exactly. It's a fundamental rewriting of everything Mia thought she knew about herself and the world. A reality most of us, thankfully, never have to contemplate.
So werewolves are real. Mia and Lily are werewolves, or becoming them. This revelation just splits the Blackwood family wide open, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You've got these clear factions forming. On one side, there's Lawrence Blackwood, Callum's father, rigid traditionalist.
And his view of Mia and Lily is pretty chilling.
Yeah, he doesn't see them as family, not really. They're carriers, genetic resources, even breeding stock, just tools to fix the pack's failing line. Purely utilitarian.
He sounds completely ruthless, obsessed with this reclamation protocol.
Totally. The sources are clear. He would take what he needs by force if necessary. And it's not just him. This thinking is backed by the pack's council of elders. They can authorize extreme measures for the greater good of the pack.
It's a pretty brutal patriarchal system clinging to power.
Definitely. But then you have Callum. And his loyalties are just imploding, really. He's caught between that system and his own conscience.
We saw his protectiveness over Lily, and his view of the contract changes now, right?
Massively. He claims he thought Mia would be given real choices once she knew the truth. Maybe naive, maybe self-deception. But it suggests he wasn't aiming for pure coercion like his father. His moral compass is different.
And he actively protects them.
He promises Mia, I would never let him harm either of you. Not everything was a lie, Mia. And he backs it up. During Lily's rejection syndrome, this awful reaction where her human side fights the wolf side.
And what happens then?
Callum basically overrides his father's orders. He prioritizes modern medicine, ensures Mia stays with Lily constantly, ignoring old pack protocols. His priorities shift entirely towards protecting them, challenging Lawrence directly. It shows a profound change in him.
Okay, so internal conflict is raging, but there's also an outside threat, the Weakfields.
Right. Another family, rivals to the Blackwoods. And their rivalry isn't just business or politics. It spans both human and supernatural realms. Generations of bad blood.
And they try to expose the Blackwoods.
There's a raid on Blackwood House, people disguised as wildlife services, trying to catch them in wolf form. It highlights just how precarious their secret is.
So they're fighting internal battles and trying to keep their existence hidden from the human world and fending off supernatural rivals. The pressure is immense.
You're constant danger from multiple angles. It adds this whole other layer of tension to Mia's situation. She's walked into a war zone, basically.
And Mia herself is just trying to process all this, accepting she's not human anymore, not entirely.
It's a huge struggle. Her first instinct is still panic, wanting to run. But Callum tells her, point blank, running won't stop the changes. They've already begun. It's inescapable.
And that rejection syndrome Lily experiences.
Yeah.
It sounds terrifying. Her human consciousness rejecting the wolf instincts.
Yeah, it manifests physically, fever, pain. It's like her body is at war with itself. It's a fascinating concept, grounding the supernatural shift in something that feels almost biological, almost medical.
And it highlights the trade-off, right? You get enhanced strength, healing, senses, longer life.
But the cost is immense. Secrecy, loyalty, the monthly transformations you can't suppress without consequences. It's a complete life overhaul, demanding total acceptance of a new, dangerous reality.
So Mia's grappling with this impossible new reality, and she and Lily are basically captives, right? Brought before the Grand Council.
Yeah, exactly. Hauled into this Grand Council chamber, windowless, deep in the house, symbolizes all that ancient, unyielding power and tradition. You can almost feel the weight of centuries in that room.
And the Council's verdict isn't exactly welcoming.
Not at all. They restrict Mia's movements, insist on continuing Lily's integration training, Mia calls it what it is, imprisoning us. They want the genes, but they don't trust the people carrying them.
Survival of the pack above individual freedom.
That seems to be the operating principle. But then Eleanor steps in again. She's such a complex figure.
The grandmother, what does she do now?
She plays this shadowy game, offers Mia cryptic warnings about an opportunist within the pack using the chaos for their own gain, and she drops another bombshell. Wakefield knows about the extraction ritual.
The rival family knows their darkest secret. How?
Eleonora implies an internal leak, a spy, betrayal from within their own ranks, which just ramps up the paranoia and danger.
And she helps Callum too, doesn't she? With that chest.
Yes, this is huge. Strategically, she gives Callum this old wooden chest full of journals, letters, ritual documents, stuff deliberately kept out of the official archives. Forbidden knowledge.
Why give it to Callum specifically?
That's the genius or the manipulation of it. She sets him up to discover the truth, a truth that could completely shatter Lawrence's power. It leads to that massive aha moment.
The biggest one yet. What's in the chest?
The truth about Callum's own heritage. He finds documents proving he's not a Blackwood. He's a Silvercrest.
Silvercrest. Another family.
Yes. And his biological parents. Murdered by Lawrence Blackwood, the man he thought was his father.
Oh my God. His entire life is a lie, built by his parents' murderer.
Exactly. His reaction is just devastating. My entire life, everything I believed about myself, all fabricated. It explains everything about his internal conflict, his resistance to Lawrence, his connection to Mia. It recontextualizes his whole existence.
That's world-shattering for him.
Yeah.
And does this connect to anything bigger?
It does. Eleonora reveals the chest also contains a prophecy, one that predicts the fall of the rigid pack structure Lawrence built, and a return to more egalitarian systems.
So Callum finding out his true identity isn't just personal, it ties into this larger prophecy of societal change.
Precisely. It gives their fight against Lawrence a much grander purpose. They're not just fighting for survival, they're fighting to fulfill a prophecy, to reform werewolf society itself.
Wow. Okay. So armed with this truth, facing Lawrence's tyranny, the threat from Wakefield, what happens next? An alliance forms.
Things escalate quickly. Lawrence finds out Callum knows the truth and has defied him. He invokes blood right.
Which sounds bad.
It is. It's a supernatural manhunt. Makes Mia and Callum official targets, no sanctuary allowed, open season on them.
And that reclamation protocol he wanted, we find out what it really is.
Yes, and it's horrifying. It's described as a barbaric blood sacrifice ritual designed to forcibly steal genetic power. It means death for Mia and subjugation, or worse, for Callum. Lawrence is willing to go to any lengths.
He's become a full-blown monster. But in the middle of all this darkness and plotting, Lily says something important.
She does. With that devastatingly simple clarity only a child has, she asks Mia, basically, if they just run away when they could help others. Wouldn't that make them like people who ignore bad things happening?
Oof. Right to the heart of it. That's the moral compass right there.
It completely cuts through all the politics and fear. It galvanizes them. They can't just run. They have to stand and fight, not just for themselves, but for others too.
And this inspires others to join them.
Yes, allies emerge from within the pack. Victoria, James, Eliza the lawyer, Daniel Chen. People who see Mia as a legitimate counterbalance to Lawrence's corruption. They're willing to risk everything because they see a chance for real change.
So a rebellion is brewing, fueled by truth, prophecy, and a child's moral clarity.
Exactly. They're no longer just victims. They're becoming leaders of a revolution.
So the lines are drawn, the truth is out, the alliance is forming. Mia and Callum decide to fight back, not just run. How do they start?
They go for broke. They invoke an ancient, rarely used protocol specifically designed to challenge and depose an alpha. It's a formal, ritualistic challenge to Lawrence's authority.
Wow. High stakes. Is there a ceremony involved?
There is. The sources describe applying ritual markings and this incredibly profound declaration between them. Blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh, I mark you as mine before all packs and all moons.
That sounds like more than just a political alliance.
Oh, much more. It's sealing a deep bond, marking themselves as partners, maybe equals, preparing to lead together, challenging the old ways before everyone.
And Mia steps up into that Luna Prime role.
She really does. The sources emphasize her growth. She gains remarkable control over her shifts, even under stress. And she develops this healing touch, apparently, that inspires loyalty and awe among other wolves.
So she's not just a figurehead. She has real power, real influence.
Yes, and it's a different kind of power than Lawrence wielded. Not just force, but inspiration, healing. Someone even notes you've grown into this role better than anyone could have predicted. It's a natural yet surprising fit.
And this new leadership style leads to actual changes. They don't just take over, they reform things.
Radically. They immediately start dismantling Lawrence's oppressive system. They set up new supernatural protection statutes. And fascinatingly, they create legal frameworks for non-humans without explicitly mentioning werewolves.
Wait, so they're using human legal systems to protect supernatural beings? That's clever.
Incredibly clever. It bridges the gap between their hidden world and the human one, offering protection without revealing the secret. It's innovative governance.
What else do they do?
They launched this community renewal platform, projects that benefit both the human communities nearby and the wolf population, showing that their leadership isn't just about pack dominance, but about broader well-being.
And Mia has this insight about why it works, right?
Yeah, she says, we gave them a choice. Many were just waiting for permission to change. Which is so profound, isn't it? People wanted change, but they needed leadership brave enough to offer it.
It speaks volumes about leadership not forcing change, but enabling it, empowering people.
Exactly. And alongside the societal transformation, their personal relationship transforms too, Mia and Callum.
From that awful manipulative contract
to a genuine partnership, built on trust, mutual respect, deep loyalty. And Callum fully embraces his true identity, Callum Silver. He sheds the Blackwood name and legacy.
He becomes his own man.
Completely. He's Lily's protector, a leader who, the sources say, cares about his people more than power. And Mia sees him clearly for who he is now.
What does she say?
She tells him, "The man who helped us escape, that's all you, not Blackwood, not Silvercrest, just Callum." It's this powerful affirmation of his chosen self over any imposed identity.
And they acknowledge the weird beginning.
They do. They recognize the irony. The contract that saved us both in ways neither of us could have imagined. Deception led them to truth and to each other.
And Lily, how does she fit into this new world they're building?
She's thriving, apparently, gaining control over her shifts, understanding her heritage, embracing both sides of her nature.
And her relationship with Callum.
She starts calling him Dad. It's a bond formed not by blood, but by choice, the sources emphasize, which is maybe the most powerful kind of family connection.
So they find a new normal, balancing ordinary life with, well, leading werewolves.
Seems like it. School runs and grocery shopping alongside pack meetings and supernatural responsibilities. Integrating the extraordinary into the everyday. It shows that even a reality this drastically changed can become home.
What a story. We went from a seemingly ordinary woman entering a political marriage
To uncovering ancient bloodlines, lycanthropy, prophecies, brutal power struggles.
and ending with a transformed society and a family forged not by blood alone, but by choice and courage. Mia and Callum's journey really shows how, even when you're caught in someone else's plan, you can still fight to write your own ending.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, I think, really underscores that true strength isn't just about power or status you inherit. It's about having the guts to face truths that shatter your world.
Yeah, the courage to choose who you want to be, even if it means defying everything you thought you knew.
And the ability to build bridges, form alliances across old divides, that seems crucial.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What hidden potentials might be sleeping inside any of us? Maybe not lycanthropy.
Probably not. But other strengths, other possibilities. And what choices would you make listening now if your reality suddenly cracked open to reveal something much bigger, much stranger?
It's a powerful thought to end on. Remember, just understanding the forces at play, seen or unseen, that's always the first step. The first step towards maybe writing your own unexpected, extraordinary story.